Good afternoon. I'm the Old Growler, and welcome to Beer with the Old Growler. My name is Pete LaFrance. BeerBasics.com is my website, and I'm right here on YouTube, and I am so glad you found me. Today is the 24th day of April, in the year 2020, and it is 5 o'clock. And let's see, what else is new? Oh yes, it's the 39th day of Pause New York, which means that that was when it's been 39 days since the pubs, bars, taverns, restaurants have all the seating restaurants have closed down. And I will slightly introduce myself for those of you who are new and have just found us. I am a journalist. I've covered the malt beverage industry, the hospitality industry, for about 35 years, and most of it has been in print. However, and I also have 2 books published, Beer Basics and Cooking and Eating with Beer, both of them published by John Wiley back in 1995 and 1997, which means they're out of print and you're going to have to go to Amazon to find them. Nevertheless, being a journalist and covering that particular beat, it's been a little difficult for me because all of these places have closed down. And I have no place to go to talk, to have sources, etc., to do any tastings. And so I figured, well, why not invite the world? So I made the best efforts I could to invite the world, and here I am. So that's my introduction. Oh, this here is a growler. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, the nomenclature, and this happens to be a growler of Guinness Stout. I figured I'd relax today with a little Guinness Stout. It's probably only around 4.5% alcohol, which means it's a pretty good session beer. Now, I'm not gonna try and pour this over my shoulder like a cowboy over the cook of my thing or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pour this little baby. Geez, I wish I could. I wish I had bigger hands, so to speak. All right. Come to me, darling. Well, being it's been in the growler, naturally its carbonation leaves a lot to be desired, but freak it. Oh, it's wet and it's dark. Okay. Well, it's 5:02, which means it's officially time to have a beer with the Old Growler. And I see I've got 3 folks with me. Well, cheers. Here's the... Well, it's Guinness all right, but it's as if it was pulled from a hand pump, a cask. In fact, it's no, that's flattered and twiggy. But what the hell? These are tough times. You have to put up with things like that. And oh, come on, it's not that bad, is it? Try it again. Well, it's refreshing. It's cold. Yeah, it's refreshing and cold. All right. We do have some sort of a script here that I try and work with. So I'm going to go to page number 2. I'm supposed to do this, semi-surreptitious. I'm talking to you, I reach over and pick that up and I put that right up there. You're not supposed to notice. It's supposed to be a well-coordinated program here. After all, I've been doing it for 25 freaking days. Yes. Yeah. This is the 25th. So that means, oh, do the math, Peter. A month and a week. Okay. Ah, there's the, I knew there was a reason that I had this out here. It was to open it and to celebrate. For those of you who hang out a little bit later, I'm going to tease you. This is a Thomas Hardy's Ale from 1992. And this one is brewed by Eldridge Pope and Company. If you go back if you go back to the Old Growler number 20, you will have a chance to hear the story of Thomas Hardy Ale. And that was a newer one. That was 92. Oh, no. It was 2002, I think it was. I'd have to check, in fact. But anyways, this is 1992. And Eldridge Pope and Company, which is the original brewers of this. And it does not have the beverage alcohol on this one. But the one that we had earlier, the 2002, I think that was 11.5%. And as we proceed down the line, for those of you real beer geeks, we've got a 1986 here, and as you can see, nicely covered with dust, patina of dust. So next week is the 86, and then we progress. We have a couple of other little specialty beers. I'm just hoping that would last us through May. So if the Old Growler is still around in May, boy, oh boy, we've been having a lot of fun. Oh, well, anyways, as I would normally be in a pub, bar, or tavern, I want to taste something new. Well, today we've got a little something new. Something called Hop Whammy, a fresh hop explosion, a New England style wet hop India Pale Ale. And this one is from Connecticut Vally Brewing Company. And it was canned. Be careful, Peter, but you are going to put it back down. You had to turn it over, didn't you? Enjoy. And it says enjoy by February 7th, 2020. So it's been in the refrigerator a smidge. Okay. And we also have a retasting of a Area 2 brewing company up in Stratford, Connecticut. There's Synopsis Black Currant sour beer. Sour ale brewed with some black currants. And we'll retry that a little bit later. For those of you who are new, see, before the Old Growler, it was Meeting Expectations. Peter LaFrance for beerbasics.com and Meeting Expectations, where we would go to the Henry Street Ale House, which is only about 4 blocks away from here, and we would sit down. Jerry Scott, the bartender, and Jim Bennis, a neighbor and a fellow barfly, would take a look at, say, a can or a bottle, and read it off. Take a look at the label, see what kind of ambiance it is, what type of image it's trying to show off. Read it thoroughly, except for even then we read the part about how we're not supposed to drink that if we're pregnant. But we read it thoroughly, and then discuss a little bit of it as to what are we expecting from that can or from that bottle. And then we decide, and then we crack it open, pour it, sample it, and see if it meets expectations or if it doesn't meet expectations. And I will put a link to the two tastings, the previous tastings for these two beers, in the box below, in the information box below. It shouldn't be too difficult to find them. And that way we can see the difference between what I tasted in the past and what my thoughts are on the beer, sitting here, sitting here in Brooklyn, rainy Brooklyn, New York. Yeah, it looks like it's raining out there again. It's been kind of a rainy day all along. Oh, boy. It's flatter than the Mojave Desert. But it is refreshing. It is refreshing. Boy, you know what? Geez, I might just go steal another beer now. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, why not? I mean, I was thinking about turning this Guinness. This morning I was going to cook. I was going to make beer soup and sit here and eat it with some crackers and beer and show you folks what beer soup was all about. Essentially, onion soup, caramelized onions, really caramelize them, and instead of stock, use a dark beer. I was going to use the Guinness, and I am now. I'm going to use the Guinness. What the hell? Greetings, Monica. Good to see you. Happy Friday. I've just been bemoaning the fact that the the Guinness that I had, I thought tightly in the growler from yesterday is, as I just said, flat as the Mojave Desert, maybe, or flatter than the salt flats of Utah. There we go. And so it's going to turn into onion soup tomorrow. So I'm going to, if you pardon me, there's 3 is there. If you'll pardon me for a minute, I'm just going to go get myself a real beer or another beer. I'll be right back. That was embarrassing. Is embarrassing. Was embarrassing. Hey, Mary. I tried the dark beer there, and it didn't work. It was so flat. You could well, I don't know what you could do it. You could reflect the moon off of it. Anyways, so I reached into the refrigerator to get myself another beer to have my. Oh yeah, Twiggy. That's true. Flatter than Twiggy. But then I have to explain Carnaby Street, and then I have to explain. Well, it also shows how old I am. That I've walking across the bridge this morning, and well, yeah, it was a neighbor stopped us. My wife and I, as Virginia, were walking across the bridge, and she stopped and asked. Of course, we have our little masks on, and maintaining our distance. She said, "Can I ask you a question?" And we said, "Yeah." And she says, "Do you like sushi?" And we said, "Yeah." And she says, "Well, I'm going I'm going to do dinner at one of the local takeout dinner at one of the sushi restaurants. I'll go pick it up. Would you like me to do that for you?" And we thanked her very much and said, geez, we go other places and we've done some pickup, and here's some other places that you can try. And until later, it didn't dawn on me that here was a neighbor trying to help another neighbor. And so then I counted out how old I was, and well, I need a beer. And I reached in the refrigerator, and what do I get? Oh boy. Okay. This is from the Hebrew Brewing Company. Yeah, the Hebrew Schmaltz Brewing Company, Hebrewed, and it is it's a little old. I don't have the exact date on it, but to tell you the truth, there is a kind of a date on it, because it says it's Hanukkah beer. Dark ale brewed with chocolate. 8% alcohol by volume. It has 8 malts and 8 hops. And it says no guilt, no glory. Okay. No matter how you spell it, you now hold the official chosen beer of the holiday season. Enjoy Hanukkah Pass the beer. Oh, Hanukkah Pass the beer. That's the whole name of the thing. Okay. While celebrating all the miracles of the 8 crazy nights. We hope our fermented creation will bring some light to the winter darkness and pair perfectly with latkes, chocolate gelt, and the battle royale of dreidels. Pass some Hanukkah beer over for your favorite friends and family and delight in the warming of the season. L'chaim, Jeremy Cowan, proprietor. Okay, well, it's a little late. Well, I mean, it's a little old, and we already had High Holy Days, so we can pass for that. Yeah. Okay. Well, it also says on here again that I shouldn't drink this if I'm pregnant. What the heck? Let's open this up. See what we've got here. Some Hanukkah beer. All right. This has got some fermentation. This has got some carbonation to it. Oh, what am I expecting? Well, it says dark ale brewed with chocolate. 8% alcohol, 8 malts, and 8 hops. So I'm expecting a complex beer. Because putting 8 hops, that's quite a combination. I'm gonna let that settle down and let you folks take a look at the label there. That's what we've got here. Hanukkah beer. Dark ale brewed with chocolate. Chocolate's tough to brew with because it has some oil in it, of course, cocoa. And if you try and put that into a secondary fermentation vessel, or even in try to put it in the first vessel, the mash tun is where you've got the grain, so you're not going to do that. You're going in the boil kettle with the hops, and you try and put chocolate in there, and you're going to gum up the works worse than you could think of. But anyways, all right, yep, you got yourself a dark ale. Looks like a dark ale. Can't see through it. Nice head. Whoa. Hoppy nose. When I say a hoppy nose, it's the same type of aroma that you would get from say an ale rather than a lager. A lager doesn't have too much of aromas to it, but an ale has a lot more aroma to it, and that's what looks good. Okay. Wow. They poured the chocolate on. I think what the chocolate, if you have a stout, it has a tendency to be a very raspy type of mouthfeel. Not quite tannic, but more like kind of a chalky type of a feel. And if you put chocolate in there, it kind of balances it out. It smooths it out. Some dark beers will use lactose to try and smooth it out. But chocolate, and also chocolate is, well, surprisingly enough, there is a malt. There's just some names. There's Cara Pils malt, which is very lightly roasted. There's Munich malt, which is just a little bit more roasted, darker. And as you roast malt, there's enzymes inside of each grain. And if you have a very light roasting, the enzymes are very quickly can turn the starches that are in the grain into sugars to start it to sprout. And that's what you want to make malt. But then when you put that malted grain into, you crush it up and put it into water to make a sweet water. You want that the starches to convert as much as you can into sugars. Now, the more you roast a malted grain, the more you're going to damage those enzymes, and the less they will work. So you have to have a base, usually about at least 30% of a pale malt, roasted malt, so that you have enough sugars in there. And then to add the flavoring and the color, the darker the roast. Now, there is a dark roast called chocolate malt, and it's not quite kilned, but it is very, very dark. And brewers use it all the time in these types of beers and in describing it. And I think that kind of, people wrap their minds around chocolate. They couldn't understand chocolate malt because you couldn't explain it. It took me a few minutes. So the brewers decided, well, sweet, why not try chocolate? So it is. It's not, the chocolate's not overpowering. The hops are very, very well balanced. There's no real note of either pine or maybe grapefruit or lemon. It's nice. It's a nice little balance on there. I'm kind of pleased I reached in and found it. But it's I'm having a difficult time describing what style of beer it is, because there is the addition of the chocolate. It's a dark ale. I would have guessed a porter in my own way of looking at it, but dark ale. How do you? It's difficult to. It's sometimes difficult to come up with a style name for a beer, which has to do with reading a label and your expectations. If I see a Bavarian wheat on a bottle, I'm going to expect that to smell a little bit like banana and cloves when it's poured into the glass, and to taste a little bit of cinnamon. If it doesn't, well, I've been misled. But if it says American wheat, I try it and expecting it to be like the Bavarian, and it's not. It's not misrepresenting, but it's just I didn't wrap my mind around what it is. And right now, there's so many different styles of beer, which is interesting. Back in 80, I was in Munich in '88 for Oktoberfest. So 88, it had to have been 90 or 91. 90. Went to Colorado for the Great American Beer Festival, and they have it still exists, and it's every year in September, I believe. And back then, I believe there were 125 maybe 130 different styles of beer that were being judged. A brewery takes a look at the list of the styles and says, well, all right, my beer is this style. It's a pale ale, so I'll enter it into pale ales. And another fellow says, I've got an IPA, I'll enter it in IPA, etc., etc. They go down the lines. American pale ale, American lager, Canadian ale, Canadian lagers. They had, the different stylized. And pretty much around ales and lagers. The two, top fermenting yeast and bottom fermenting yeast. It's pretty much along that line. And then you add in the stouts and the specialty beers. So it's a little specialty beer thing. Okay. Well, this year, I do believe there were close to either 375 or 400 categories. Now, how can you have that much of an increase in the styles of beer in that amount of time? Well, naturally, it's because brewers are trying all kinds of different things. So they'll come up with, well, the latest one is a NEIPA. I love the acronyms, but essentially, I believe it was originally New England India Pale Ale, which meant that it was a cloudy pale ale. Who came up with it? I'll have to look that up. I really will. Yeah, we'll make a note. But somehow or other, it came to be a style. And there's been a few of the others. But to continue with the Great American Beer Festival and why there are so many styles, I believe, is because to enter each style, I believe it costs a couple of $100 for the brewer to do it for each beer. And so if you add the numbers of styles, you add the numbers of entries. And that of course, is important. But naming a beer, I mean, boy, they can come up with some of the most interesting names for the styles. But it's using words to describe just slight changes in a basic formula. So many words that are used to name styles. It's fascinating to me. But I suppose, in a way, when I stop to think about it, words used to describe things. There's an old wives' tale that the Inuit up in northern Canada have hundreds of words to describe different types of snow: wet snow, dry snow, snow that's little, snow that's big, snow that does this, snow that does that. They have so many different words to describe snow. And in my profession, being a writer, a journalist, I use words. And in the beat that I cover, the hospitality industry and the malt beverage industry, it occurs to me, or it has occurred to me, that I'm trying to think of all of the words, or two words, a little phrase that I use to describe a place where one goes to eat and drink. A bar, a pub, a tavern, a trattoria, a beer hall, a gin mill, a suds bucket, oh yeah, a suds bucket, roadhouse, tavern. Oh, you ought to get a thesaurus out. A thesaurus. Yeah, one of these, not one of these, one of these. Yeah, okay, how about tavern? Let's look up tavern or inn or bar. Bar, let's look up bar. Just a plain bar, B-A-R. B-A-R, bar. B-A-R-S, bar, B-A-R, B-A-R-R-R-R, bar. I just need one R, please. I don't need an E. B-A-R, B-A-R-B, B-A-R. Here we go. Okay. Counter shaft of obstacles, pry. Yeah, okay, that's all kind of good stuff. At the bar. Verbs. Close. Bar the gate. Isn't that amazing? I would have expected at least tavern to be listed. Obstacle situation, insignia type, barrier lock, bullion, barroom. Wow. Barroom, one word. 999425. 999425. see. 994. 99425. Boy, it's getting to the end of the book here. 994. 99425. Barroom, bar, tap room, tap, tavern, pothouse, mughouse, alehouse, rum shop, grog shop, dram shop, groggery, gin mill, exchange, boozer, saloon, drinking saloon, saloon bar, public house, pub, public, beer parlor, beer house, jerry shop, beer garden, cocktail lounge, cabaret, wine shop, bistro, ratskeller, barrel house, honky tonk, dive, speakeasy, blind tiger, blind pig, shebeen. Well, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough to show at least that we have an interest in what bars are. So it's a small little exercise in looking up words. Yeah, I couldn't either. But I wouldn't say it's an old book, but it wasn't. Oh, raised a thirst doing that. A bad little chocolate beer. Chocolate beers. But I'm going to set my little friend aside here. We've hit the half hour. Believe it or not. So it's time. I do believe. I might as well open up another one of these over here. And since, let's see, this, we're just speaking about hops. That's what I'm familiar with the area 2, and I think a couple of at least one or two of you folks that are watching here. Hey Tom. Oh, Den of Iniquity. Greetings, Tom. Yeah, that was okay. I'll tell you, when you think of any other ones, put them down in the comments, please, and we'll make a list of all. I'll go back and add. We'll start to make an actual list of all the phrases and words used to describe a place to eat and drink. We can use bistro and brauhaus. I mean, if you can find other, well, that is commonly used anyway. Okay. Oh boy, since I'm not in my usual place of residence over there at the Henry Street Ale House or at Bar Tabac. It used to be the White Horse, but no more. They fancified that. Let's take a look at the label, similar to what we would do at Meeting Expectations, and see if this does. This has got a lot of words on it, so bear with me. Up at the top, keep refrigerated for a fresh hop explosion. Okay. Look out. There's so many hops in this beer, it's going to explode. Hop Man puts the hops back into the can and saves the beer. Thanks, Hop Man. Until next time. Because he comes in with a fresh hop explosion. Have no fear, Hop Man is here. Okay, now as far as actual information about this, it says it is a wet hop India Pale Ale, 1 pint, 7% alcohol by volume. That's true. A shebeen, yeah. I don't think that. Yeah, that was brought over. That was. And don't forget, back then, even in the 1800s, the Irish bars were considered dark places to go, where the German beer gardens were massive and large, and in fact, and 14th Street, they had a whole city block and 4 stories high for the beer garden. Oh, much different. A whole family there, not like the old Irishman sitting there, sucking down their biscuits. Anyways, back to the fresh hop explosion here. A New England style, so it's going to be cloudy, very hoppy, and it doesn't tell me what type of hops are in here or any other good stuff like that. But it looks like it doesn't take itself terribly seriously. So let's crack this open and see what we've got. And I'm expecting hop tea. Whoa! But it's not afraid of itself. It wants to get out of that can something awful. There now, darling. Calm yourself, calm yourself. Okay, that's better. All right, let's see what we've got here. Boy, that's a messy freaking pour. Probably because you didn't open up the top all the way. You Nimrod. Oh, that's got freaking chunks in it. Yeah, that's as cloudy as today. And yeah, that's got, let's see if you folks can see that. That's got wee stuff floating around in there. Yes, sir, Bob. All right, well, that knocks it down 4 or 5 points. The cloudiness, but the floaters, well, let's see what it smells like. Doesn't smell like much. Doesn't taste like much. Does it meet expectations? Nowhere close. Sorry. There you go, my little friend. Now, this one, I will admit, from the Area 2 Brewing Company, which is part of Two Roads Brewing Company up in Stratford, Connecticut. The head brewmaster there is a fellow by the name of Phil Markowski, and he and I have known each other for years, and so this isn't a surprise to me. A little background: the Area 2 Brewing Company is a sister. They have 2 brew houses, and the brew house in Area 2 is where the specialty beers are done, and most of them are aged in some type of oak cask, whether it's a sherry cask or whether it's a bourbon cask. He plays around with the flavors of this stuff, and all of the yeast are wild yeast, so it's a lot of fun. Okay, Area 2, Synopsis, 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 Black Currant, sour ale brewed with black currant. 6.4% ABV, 1 pint, 437 milliliters. And it says, Two Roads Brewing Company, a naturally harmless sediment may appear. Okay, I'm not supposed to be pregnant. Do we have any IBUs on this? No, we don't. Okay. Well, what am I expecting? I'm expecting a sour beer that's got some black currant in it, so it's going to be a red beer maybe. Let's crack this open. Okay. Please, Lord, let this be red beer. Yes. Well, not red, but yes, red. Red is the color of my true love's hair. In the morning, in the morning. Boy, now that's a fine looking little beer. It looks almost like candy, but it's the right color. It's got a little blackberry to it, but it's also got that French farmhouse beer funk on it, which I'm madly in love with. Oh, oh, my taste buds are happy. Yeah. A refreshing sour. For those of you who like sour beers, this is the one. Yeah, it hits the nail on the head. As I say, I'm prejudiced, so I'm already predisposed. I'm intrigued by the label, how it reads both ways, upside down and backwards, and that's probably what Synopsis has to do with or with the brewery, and I haven't yet been able to catch on to it, but it's a great label. It looks like they're having fun. Boy. Oh well. Yeah. Anywho, let's see now. Where were we? We're talking about words. Well, there we go. Words, not only with a bar or a pub and coming up with that, but the different styles of beer. And apparently, if the numbers of words used to describe something shows the importance that it has to that society, the fact, as I mentioned, that we have almost 400 different styles of beer now means that beer must be very important to our society. That's a thought, you know? Wow. And it shows because in the passage of time from 1990, in the last 20, 30 years, yeah, the numbers of microbreweries and small breweries and brew pubs have gone from, I believe back then it was maybe 1,500 to today it's over 7,000. So it has become a real part of, and when you consider that some of the major mass production breweries are trying to turn out beers that they call craft beers, or buying small, Anheuser-Busch buying Goose Island to add to their portfolio, knowing that that's where the growth is. There's a good reason that the words have taken on more importance. Well, even in wine, in my parents' day, in the reason that that there has been such an explosion, and there has been before the reorganizing that financially that we're going through now, there had been a plateau and of profitability. They all run, or well, not all, many of the smaller ones, less than 750,000 barrels a year, less than 1 million barrels a year. They run on a relatively small margin, and so, and they're very much the distribution system is very important to them because they don't handle their own distribution, which is tough. But the situation had last year had started to level off, and they in fact, to show how level off it had gotten, the big push this spring and summer was supposed to be hard seltzer, because it allowed them to make more shelf keeping units than they had with just the beer. So they're going to break into another part of the cold box, hopefully. And I'm not quite too sure how that's going to work out because it has been a major reshuffling. The effects that it's going to have on the small breweries. Oh boy, the ones that are going to, I feel the ones that are going to survive are going to be the very mid-level ones that have a personal relationship with their clients, with their where the brewer goes to each account, and the account knows the brewer. That type of brewery, small brewery, will survive because of that personal relationship. Unless they're running on just such a low margin that any kind of disruption is ridiculous. I know there's a interruption of services, I had it written down. There is an insurance that businesses take out when there's something closes them down that is not an act of God. Interruption of operations. But in any event, the larger ones are relatively insured. Although if they're working on a thin margin, they'll drop off too. It's anybody who says that they can look into the future and see what's going to happen has got a couple of crystal balls, and most crystal balls shatter. So I wouldn't say we're all in the same boat because we're all under different circumstances, and all breweries are under different circumstances and under different skippers. So we're all in the same storm, but we're all in different boats, and we'll see how some of the boats were designed, and it's certainly going to change the way businesses look at themselves in the future. And just a note again along finances there, and how things are going to change financially. I'm going to have to take a look. I do know that the state of Vermont, in their constitution, I believe, says that there has to be 10% of their budget is for rainy day events, and I'm wondering how well they're handling that, because it's built in, and a lot of places nothing was built in. Oh boy, this is a nice one. So who do I have left here? Is Monica still here? And Monica and Mary, I'll bet. Let's see. I'll wave to you both. And I do thank you for being here. Or is Tom still here? I don't know. I can't tell. You folks are the quietest folks I've ever did bump across. Of course, I've only been doing this for, 25 events. Okay, we got Monica's checking in. Let's see now. My word, I haven't been able to talk my full hour. I feel embarrassed. Sorry I let you down. I really am. I'll try harder next time, I promise. Actually, I'll have a better growler the next time, so I'll have a chance to start out with a little more than that Hanukkah beer had hit the spot. That's for sure. Oh dear. Well, I thank you folks for being here. I'm gonna hold off on this Thomas Hardy Ale. I'd like to do this with an audience, if you don't mind. Maybe be a little bit more celebratory, or next Friday, or even more pissed off next Friday. So I'll crack it open just to spite the fates. That's probably what I'll do, is I'll crack it open to spite the fates. Geez, you know, screw it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, that's a sweet little beer. Well, not sweet, it's sour, but boy, Monica, I do appreciate you being here. I hate drinking alone, even though it is, I am. But I appreciate your stopping in. And whoever the other one is over there, if that number 2 is Mary, thank you very much. And if it's Tom, both of you guys have checked in, and so thank you both very much for that. Pass the word to other folks. I mean, I've been trying to drum up interest, news groups and that type of thing, particularly the professional writers. But I guess maybe this is not such a good time for some, being 5 o'clock. And my appearance might not be so good, belching like that. Well, folks, I think I'm going to pack up bags, and the Old Growler is going to roll on down to the basement there, so to speak, or around the corner, or wherever Old Growlers roll. So thank you for being here. For those of you who are watching this later on, if you've gotten this far, I really do thank you. And I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. I would appreciate a thumbs up. And in the comments, let me know what you think of what the Old Growler did today, and what he might be interested in chatting about tomorrow. Although tomorrow is a Saturday and a Sunday. I've got 2 days to think about what we're going to be doing next week. I'm tempted to try and get into the kitchen, but if I can't get into the kitchen, I'll certainly try and make something with beer to explain, and possibly direct you to a video that I can edit better in the other playlist sections of this channel. But anyways, as we leave, this is the synopsis from Area 2, and wishing all of you, thanking you folks who have watched for being here. And I wouldn't say, well, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you on Monday with smiles on our faces. Have a good weekend, and see you again.